Hello, everyone, and welcome to the March Madness Recap Show. I'm George Hathaway, and I'm joined with Alex Green and Dylan Hicks. And with the 2022 NCAA tournament wrapping up on Monday night, we're going to take a look at some of the most memorable moments from this year's tournament.
Yeah, so starting off with this year's Cinderella Run, every year it seems like there's a team that goes on the Cinderella Run, not expecting to do well, but it goes fairly far in the tournament. And this year, that goes to St. Peter's, 15-seeded St. Peter's Peacocks. Coming into the tournament, the St. Peter's Peacocks were a two-seed in the MAAC tournament, and they had to win that tournament to get in. They were not on the bubble, and they did that. They made the tournament, and despite only having two guys who are averaging double digits, in Daryl Banks III and Casey and Detta in Defo, they were able to make the tournament and upset some teams along the way. Two-seeded Kentucky, seven-seeded Murray State, three-seeded Purdue, and then eventually lost to North Carolina in the Final Four. But a great run for the Peacocks.
Yeah, I agree, Alex. I think it was a really good run by St. Peter's and a team that nobody, I don't think, had beating Kentucky, considering what a powerhouse school Kentucky is at basketball. Nobody expected them. And eventually losing, like you said, to UNC in the Elite Eight, and one of the first teams in NCAA tournament history to make it to the Elite Eight as a 15 seed. So they certainly had some history behind them, and I really enjoyed their run.
Right. And another great run was the North Carolina Tar Heels. They were an 8 seed. They made it all the way to the national title game. Crazy fact, they weren't even supposed to make the tournament 2 months earlier. And then they made the tournament. They beat Baylor, UCLA, and George. I know you're not happy about that Duke game, but Duke played pretty well. It was a great rivalry game. Unfortunately, the Tar Heels lost. I'm a big fan of them. But you know what? They had a great run, and I think they'll be back at it again next season.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a good run by North Carolina. And then, of course, like you mentioned, they beat Duke in the Final Four, which was Coach K's final game as a head coach. I mean, certainly one of the greatest coaches of all time in college basketball history, with the most Final Four appearances, the most tournament wins as well, and of course the most wins all time. So, and he also has 5 championships to go along with it as well. And honestly, I was happy Coach K lost to a team like North Carolina. They had a tough run going there, though. I mean, they had to beat Michigan State, who was a very tough team to go up against, very physical. And then they had to also play Texas Tech as well to go on to play North Carolina. But I'm just happy that Coach K kind of went out the way he came in, coaching at Duke, because his first game was a loss to North Carolina, and his final game a loss to North Carolina. So that book is now closed, and it's now time for the John Shire era.
Yeah, interesting that Coach K's tournament coaching career began with a loss to North Carolina and ended with a loss to North Carolina. Speaking of North Carolina, they lost to the eventual champion Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas is a 1 seed. This was a year where 1 seeds really struggled in the tournament. You have who are the other 1 seeds? Baylor losing to North Carolina. You have Gonzaga losing, like they do every year before the Final Four, disappointing. And then you have the other 1 seed in, I'm blanking at the moment. But yeah, this is a tough year for 1 seed in general. But Kansas, they were consistent all tournament, and it showed. Oshay Agbaji was named the tournament's most outstanding player, and he was a big reason why the Kansas Jayhawks went on to win this year's tournament.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas, one of my picks that we mentioned earlier in the March Madness preview episode to win it all. And I'm glad they kind of did, because, I mean, I also put them on for my bracket as well to have Kansas, because they have one of the best guards in the country, and who can score the ball, and is also very physical and can drive to the basket. And, I mean, and then they also have the big man McCormick down low. That dude is a beast. I mean, nobody could grab a rebound over him, and he was just putting back dunks left and right. And so that's why I was very fortunate to see that Kansas winning it all. I mean, in a Final Four full of blue bloods.
Right. Like you said, David McCormick. I'm glad you mentioned him because although he unfortunately was responsible for much of the reason my Tar Heels lost, he put up 15 and 10. I honestly think he should have been named most outstanding player. He played better than Kansas guard Oshai Abaji. I think he's a great reason of why they won. Like you guys picked them, the Jayhawks, to win in a year that the 1 seeds really struggled. You know what? That was a great run by the Jayhawks. First title since '08. Good for them.
And that is going to wrap things up here on the March Madness Recap Show for Alex Green and Dylan Hicks. I'm George Hathaway. Thank you for watching and have a great night.